Yeah, so today we are gonna discuss about problems on the promises. So, problem statement is like what will be printed on the screen with these lines of code. So, as we are using the promises, there are asynchronous calls, and uh, so console.log will not be printed in the order they are declared in the code. So, let's see how promises works in this case. Uh, these questions actually regularly asked in the job interviews as well. How promises exactly works. So yeah, let's discuss about that. So I have declared variables promise1 and promise2. In the promise1, I am calling the promise constructor and passing the executor function to it. In the executor functions, I am again creating a new promise and resolving it with value 7 and assigning it to PR2. Then at line number 7, I am consoling out the PR2. So this line will be executed and it will console out the value of the promise one, that is 7. So this will be printed on the screen. Then there is a resolve statement for the outer promise, which is promise 1, and resolve method is accepting a thenable callback, actually thenable object. But this call, this callback function is a asynchronous one, so it will be enqueued into the queue and will be pushed back onto the stack once stack is empty. So currently it will be enqueued into the queue, so this will not be executed after this console.log. So let's come to the line number 14. There is a console.log promise one, but the promise one is a pending one which is not yet resolved, as the callback function is uh, at in the queue, so it will not be executed here. So value of the promise one will be printed as a pending one. So what will be printed? Pending. So at line number 16, we are calling a then method on promise one, uh, but promise one is not yet rejected or resolved. So this callback function is a asynchronous one and will be again enqueued into the queue. So we have two callbacks into the queue waiting for execution. Then at line number 21, we are again calling a then method, but on the PR2. PR2 is resolved one, but the callback function, this one is a asynchronous one, so it will be enqueued into the queue and will be dequeued once the stack is empty. Yeah. So at line number 25, we are resolving a promise with value 33 and assigning it to the original variable. So original variable will be will get a new promise with value 33. Then at line number 26, we are resolving the promise and the resolved value, which is 33, will be assigned to the new promise, that is cast. And on cast, we are calling a then method, which again takes a callback function, which is a asynchronous one. So this callback will be again enqueued into the queue and will be waited for the execution. At line number 30, we are consoling out this original equal to cast and the value, which is a boolean one, of the comparison of original and cast. So this comparison value is true as both are resolved with the value 33. So on screen what will be printed? Original equal to cast with boolean value as a true. So this statement at line number 33 will be executed. Now the stack is empty. Once the stack is empty, there is a dequeue operation on the queue and there is a first callback, which is this one. So this callback will be pushed into the stack and will get start executing. So what will be printed? This will console out this in then one of PR2. So this will be console out onto the screen. Now there is a return statement with value 10, and this return statement again will be evaluated to the then callback, which will be resolved with value 10. So this return statement will again create a new promise which will resolve with value 10. So this is again a asynchronous call, and this asynchronous call will be enqueued into the queue. So it will be the last call again. Then there is a this callback waiting in the queue, but promise 1 is not yet resolved because this return statement is again evaluated to a new promise with which will be resolved with the value 10. So promise 1 is a pending one. So this is not yet resolved. So uh, it is not clear which method to call, whether it is rejected or the successful promise. So we are not clear with the what callback to call. So this callback again will be enqueued into the queue, and this will be the last callback in the queue. Then there is a dequeue operation, and dequeue operation will get this callback and will be pushed into the stack. But this callback will be executed as PR2 is resolved. So it will console out this string. And after that, there is again a dequeue operation which will get this callback, and this callback will be pushed into the stack as stack is empty, and cast is resolved with value 33. So it will just console out the value. So it will console out value as 33. Now again there is a dequeue operation, and dequeue operation will get a callback function which is for return 10. So as I said, this return 10 is evaluated to again a new promise which will be resolved with value 10. So this callback will be pushed into the stack and which will return a new promise which will be resolved with value 10. So that will be executed, but it will not print anything. Once the promise 1 is resolved with value 10, then there is a chaining callback which is this one, and that callback will be executed and which will be pushed into the stack. Now queue is also empty, and what will be printed on the screen? This one, console.log xyz, and xyz will get a value 10. So 10 will be printed on the screen. Then next statement is console.log promise 1. So promise 1 with value 10 will be printed. So this is what the promise execution happens asynchronously. So let's execute and verify whether what we have printed is correct or not. Yeah, so first promise 7 is printed, then the pending promise is printing, then original cast is printed, then this is printed. So yeah, so this is what the promise execution happens asynchronously.